In this video, I will show you how to write the equation of a circle given a variety of information. So we know that the general model for the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. And in this format, the h and the k are the center of the circle, and the radius is r. So basically, the center is the opposite of this number and the opposite of this number. So when I look at this picture, it's pretty easy to see that this purple dot is right at the center of the circle. If I wanted to double check, I can see that if I go 4 to the right, I'm on the circle. If I go 4 to the left, 4 up, 4 down, I'm at the center. So now, what are the coordinates of the center? This is -1, 1. So the center is -1, 1. So when I go to make my equation, I need the opposite of the first one, so that's going to be x plus 1 squared. And then I need the opposite of the second one, so that'll be y minus 1 squared. And in the last position, I need the radius squared. So the radius, of course, is the distance from the center to the circle. So the radius is 4. So that means I need 4 squared. All right, so the radius is 4. That means the radius squared is 16. So that's why I'm going to put a 16 right here. So now I'm just looking to see a match. So x plus 1 squared, y minus 1 squared is equal to 16. So the answer is A. For number 7, we're given the equation and we're being asked to write the center and the radius. Well, first of all, I'm seeing this y squared here. To make it look more like the model, I'm going to just put a 0 in there. So this is the same thing as x minus 4 squared plus, and I could think of this as y minus 0 squared if I really wanted to, is equal to 5. So the center is going to be the opposite of this and the opposite of this. So the opposite of this is 4. Okay, so let me just come over here and write the center. The opposite of this is 4, and the opposite of 0 is just 0. So far that narrows it down to either C or D. So I know that A and B are not the answer. So now it's just a matter of what the radius is. So in the model, the number at the end is always the radius squared. So this number is the radius squared. In other words, the radius squared is 5. If I want to know what the radius is, I need to take the square root of both sides. So that means that the radius is going to equal the square root of 5. Now, I don't see any radicals here. So if I wanted to actually know this number, I would have to put it into a calculator. So the square root of 5, and then I will hit the toggle key, and I see that it is 2.2 approximately. Okay, so the radius is approximately 2.2. So that means the answer is C, because I see the 2.2 right there. Boom. Alright, find the center, radius, and equation of the circle that has the diameter with these endpoints. Okay, fine. So let's plot the endpoints. -4, 5. So here's -4 and here's 5. And -4, -1. So -4, -1. So these are the endpoints of a diameter. Alright, so let's go ahead and draw. So there's the diameter. So let me just do a rough sketch to make you understand what we're dealing with. Stop it. So here's a rough sketch. If this is the diameter of a circle, that means I'm dealing with a circle that's doing something vaguely like this. Okay, because the diameter cuts right across the circle. Now, the diameter goes through the center of the circle. So I really need to know what the center of the circle is. So that's going to be just the midpoint of this segment. So let me just try to just use my common sense here. It looks like the center or midpoint will be right here. And if I count 3 up and 3 down, I'm right on the circle, so I have guessed right. So this is the center. Now, as I count from the origin, I see that this is -4, 2. Okay, great. So that means that the center is -4, 2. Now, right away, I can write the left side of the equation based on the center. So I know it's going to be the opposite of this. So I'm going to have x plus 4 squared. And then the opposite of that, so that'll be y minus 2 squared. Okay, now this last part is going to be the radius squared. So the radius is going to be 3 because I'm counting the squares from the center to the circle. That's 3. So the radius is 3. And this is going to be the radius squared, so that'll be 9. Alright, number 9. A circle is centered at -2, 3. So we are given that the center is -2, 3. So right away, that gives me the left side of the equation. So it's going to be the opposite of this, so x plus 2 squared. And the opposite of that, so y minus 3 squared equals. Alright, all I need is the radius, and then the radius squared will go here. So the center is at -2, 3, so -2, 3 is right here. They also tell me that the y-axis is tangent to the circle. Now remember what tangent means. Tangent means you have a line that just barely touches the circle at a single point, like this. So this line is tangent to the circle. So we're saying that the y-axis is doing this. That means that if I were to draw the circle, it has to hit the y-axis just at a single point. Alright, so that really, whoops, I went too far to the left there. So that really allows me to easily visualize exactly what the circle looks like. Alright, because I have the center, and if the y-axis is just barely touching at a single point, then that means that's where the circle must stop. So let's go ahead and draw this circle. Okay, so great. We're dealing with a circle that looks like this. Can you tell what the radius is? Hopefully you can see that from the center out to the y-axis, that's going to be the radius. So the radius is 2. And for the equation, we need the radius squared. So this will be 4. Alright, for number 10, we are given the equation of a circle in general form. There are no parentheses or anything. So I need to rewrite this in standard form so I can identify the center and the radius and such. So the first thing I have to do is reorganize this so that the terms that have x in them are side by side, and I want the terms that have y in them to be side by side. Now that 25 has to go. I'm just going to move that to the other side of the equation by subtracting it. So it's going to show up in my next step as a -25. Okay, now what I'm doing is called completing the square, by the way. So let's start with these x's. So I have x squared and then plus 10x. Now I'm going to leave a space right here. And then I'm going to do plus y squared minus 8y. And I'm going to leave another space to complete the square. And then I'm going to have equals negative 25, because like I said, I subtracted 25 to get it out of the way. So when I complete the square, this is where the parentheses will come in. So I know I'm going to turn this trinomial into a binomial squared. So what goes inside the parentheses will be x plus 5. This 5 came from doing half of 10. Now, similarly, for the y's, when I do my parentheses squared, this is going to be y minus 4. Again, I just did half of negative 8. But now I need to complete the square. So what I'm going to do is first, the number that goes in the blank, the number that completes the square, is going to be this number squared. You can almost see it because I have a 5 and outside the parentheses that's being squared. 5 squared. That's 25. So I'm going to add 25. Now, you can't just add something to one side of the equation without adding it to the other side. So I'll do plus 25 on the right hand side as well. Similarly, to complete the square right here with the y's, I need to square this. So that is going to be positive 16. Notice it's positive even though I have a negative 4, because negative 4 squared means negative 4 times negative 4. And a negative times a negative is a positive. Again, I need to remember to add 16 on the right hand side as well. Okay, so what do I have over here? Well, it looks like the negative 25 and the positive 25 equals 16. So this is the standard form equation of the circle. So we can go ahead and write down x plus 5 squared plus y minus 4 squared is equal to 16. Now looking at this, the center is going to be the opposite of this, comma, the opposite of that. So this will be negative 5, comma, 4. The radius will be the square root of this. So the radius will be 4. Alright, for number 11, we're going to basically do the same thing. First, we need to rewrite this so that the x terms are right next to each other. And there's only one term that has y's in it, so I don't really need to worry about that right now. But I am going to write the x terms next to each other. Actually, before I do that, I'm noticing that all of these are divisible by 4. So there's no reason not to go ahead and divide everything by 4. So that's going to give me x squared plus y squared minus 6x is equal to 12. Okay, now I'm going to rewrite this to put the x terms side by side. So when I do that, I'm going to have x squared minus 6x, and I can see I'm going to have to complete the square, so I'm going to leave a space, and then I will put plus y squared. Now, since there's no other y term, I'm not going to have to complete the square, so I don't need to leave a space or anything. So, for this wannabe trinomial, I'm going to turn this into a binomial squared. And the binomial will be x minus 3. Where'd the minus 3 come from? It's half of this term. Now I need to complete the square. And the number that goes in this blank, the number that completes the square, I get that from squaring this. So negative 3 squared is positive 9. And I have to remember to add 9 on both sides of the equation. Okay, so I still need to bring down my plus y squared. And now that's going to be equal to 21. So that is the standard form equation. The center is going to be the opposite of this, comma, the opposite of this. So that's why I'm going to have positive 3. There's no number with the y. It's not y minus anything or y plus anything. That means it's a 0. Now the radius. The radius is going to be the square root of 21. Alright, because that 21 is really the radius squared. So if I want to get the radius by itself, I would need to take the square root of both sides. Okay, that's why the radius is equal to the square root of 21, which I might as well get the decimal of this as well. Whoops. So 4.6. Okay, so that's the radius. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Go ahead and click here in the red apple to watch the next video. Click in the green apple to subscribe, or click the yellow apple for the full playlist.